Hey guys, it's Julia, and today I'm going to be talking about my most recommended book series. Okay guys, so for today's video, I wanted to talk about some of the books that I always recommend to people when they ask me what books they should read. I have a stack of the first books in the series that I want to share with you guys. These are my absolute favorite series. They are my go-to series for everything, and I love them. I love them with a passion I cannot even fathom. So I wanted to kind of recommend these books to you guys for those of you who haven't read them yet. Most of these are more popular books. They are some series that have been talked about a lot on BookTube, but they are older books. Lately, I have not found a series that I just binge read all of the books in the series and absolutely loved, which is weird because there's a lot of good books coming out, but I'm really in this reading slump right now where I cannot finish a book. I read half the book and then put it down, or I read a quarter of the book and I'm bored. If anybody has any good recommendations for me, whether those be older books or newer books, let me know in the comments down below because I would like to read a good book. The first book I'm going to talk about is Frostfire, which is a really awesome series. It's about trolls, guys. Trolls. What series have you guys read that's about trolls recently? And this actually is a spin-off series from the Tyrell series, which I actually have not read. I picked this up and then found out later that that was a series, and you don't have to read that first series in order to read this one. But I just really loved the main character in this story. I loved the romance that was in this story, and it was just like a really interesting way to have a story about trolls. And it's basically like where trolls go off into, are like placed with a family, and then they're like stolen back when they're like of age, which is interesting. The romance in this is like a forbidden romance, so it's pretty like, it's like an interesting little love story, but it's also like about this badass like half-breed girl, and I think that the story is just really executed in a really nice way. Next is one of my all-time favorites, and it's one that really threw me into the BookTube world, and that is The Winner's Curse by Marie Rakowski. And let me tell you guys, Marie Rakowski has an amazing writing style. I think that is one of my favorite things about this book, besides the fact that it is an amazing story. But the writing in this was so phenomenal that I could not put it down. And I read all of the books one after the other. There's a trash truck. Bitch, get out my video. These books were so good. It is about a girl who lives in the higher class society. Her dad is a war general. She ends up buying this slave at like an auction, and then they kind of end up falling in love. And in order for them to be loyal to their countries, they end up having to betray each other. It's just a really good, high-paced story that I really enjoyed, and like I said, the writing was incredible in this one. Next is one everybody knows of, and that is Throne of Glass. And if you haven't read this, where are you? Where have you been? Why have you been hiding under a rock? Because this series is incredible. I still haven't finished it, actually, though. I've been savoring these books and reading them slowly because I just don't want it to end. I'm on Tower of Dawn now, and I don't want it to end, which I'll probably end up reading Tower of Dawn because soon, because I can't find anything that I like. So why not read a book I know I'm going to like and read Tower of Dawn? I love the Throne of Glass series. I also love the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, which I've talked about a lot on my channel like everybody else has, but I feel like I prefer Throne of Glass over A Court of Thorns and Roses just because I really enjoy Celaena's character, and I love Chaol. Like, the characters in this, I mean, the characters in A Court of Thorns and Roses is really amazing. All of them are amazing too, but I just prefer the characters in this, and I prefer the story in this, and like the magical elements in this are just really, really good. So basically the story is about Celaena, who was sentenced to this prison because she was an assassin, and she ends up getting brought to the king to compete in this assassin's trial to basically become the king's assassin. And it was awesome, but the first book was awesome, but the books after were just even better. Like, the first sets the stage, but the rest, like, are totally different, I feel like, from the first book. Like, this first book set the stage for the story to go multiple different ways, and I really enjoy the way that Sarah J. Maas made this story go and how she executed the story. But ultimately, the second book was my favorite book. Okay. Also on one side. Next is probably going to come as a surprise to some people because I liked this first book, but it wasn't my favorite book. And that is the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. This first book, I want to emphasize that the first part of this book did not really mesh with me, but then after the halfway point, I really started enjoying it. I really loved the way it ended, and then Cruel Prince was just absolutely amazing. I read it super fast and enjoyed every single second of it. Like, it picked up amazing, it ended amazing, and I cannot wait to read the rest of the series. The last book, I think it's a 3-book series, hasn't come out yet, but I am super, super excited for it because this is a really awesome story about this human girl who goes and basically lives in a world of fae. And there is this prince, and he's kind of an asshole, and yeah, it's basically her trying to live in this world but also come to power in some sort of way because she hates being knocked down because she's human, and so she basically wants to prove to the fae world that she's just as good as them. And yeah, I really liked it. I really, 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 really love this series. Next on the agenda is one that I read before I started BookTube and read the entire series and loved it and couldn't wait for every single book to come out, and that was the Selection series by Kiara Cass, which, Kiara Cass, where are you, baby? I miss you. Please come back to the writing world because you've been gone for too long. Anyway, so the Selection is a story, it's kind of like The Bachelor meets Fantasy World of sorts, meets Divergent sorts, I don't know, but really it is a story about this girl who lives in a society where there are different classes, which are called the caste system in their world, and basically there's a girl picked from every single class and taken to the palace, and they kind of have to compete for the prince's heart, and there's some political stuff, and it just really was awesome. The first book is the start of the selection, the second book is like selecting the elite, like the top 10, and then the third book is the one, which is about who he picks, and then there's also The Heir, which is kind of like a spin-off, and there's another one, what is it, The Crown maybe? But this whole series, the spin-off series, was incredible and I loved it, and I'm actually just started rereading this with my daughter because she was interested in reading it with me, so we're reading it together. The last one is not going to be surprising for anybody if you've been on my channel for quite some time, and that is Illumine by Jake Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I'm actually reading Obsidio now, and which is surprising that I didn't read it like when it first came out because I did with Gemina. I was just coming into the BookTube world whenever this one had come out, so I read it pretty quickly, and then I had come into the BookTube world right when Gemina came out, so I read this and then I read Gemina right after, and then Obsidio came out quite a few months ago, and surprisingly I just started reading it. I tried reading it right when it came out, but the beginning of it is kind of a little bit slow, which is surprising because Illumine and Gemina pick up pretty fast. I am enjoying Obsidio, but it is taking a hot minute to get into it. I'm like 100 pages in, and it's still not like super fast-paced or anything. That's totally okay. I know that it's going to get good because I love, love, love this series. So Illumine is basically about this planet called Corinza that gets attacked by this company called Biotech, and half of the residents get off on a ship called the Alexander, and basically there's like a zombie of sorts outbreak on the ship as it's starting to like crumble, and the system that it basically runs the ship called Adrian starts going haywire and like closing down the ship while there's a zombie attack, and it gets crazy. Katie, the main character, has to basically save everybody on the ship, meanwhile getting attacked by space zombies. I had no idea that there was going to be space zombies in this story, so whenever it happened, I was like, yes, bitch, yes! And I loved it. I loved this book. I love that the format of this book is not just like any other book. There's pictures, emails, IM messaging, things like that, surveillance footage, and I just thought that it was super cool. But the coolest thing about this book in particular is the audiobook, because there's lots of different sounds, there's sound effects, there's different voices, they use like different people for each voice, and I just loved that aspect of it. I loved the audiobook. I did both the audiobook and read the book because the book is so cool itself with all of the pictures, so I kind of like switched back and forth so that I could get the best of both worlds. Okay guys, so that is my video on the series that I recommend to basically everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have read any of these series and liked them or didn't like them, comment down below and tell me what you guys thought of these books. And yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!